Hey guys, some more Genshin stuff. So I did a kind of like a reaction and an analysis type thing for The Road Not Taken, which was it's a year old, but it's if you haven't seen it, I recommend watching the video on your when you can, like the actual video, not mine, but it's so good. And I talked about how this game I've been playing since the beginning, or pretty much. My first video that I posted on this channel was October 16th, and the game came out September 28th. So I've been playing since 1.0. When I came in, it was still Venti's banner. I think there was like a week and a half left or whatever until the end of his banner. But so I've been playing for these last 5 years, and the story's gotten better. The characters are more immersive. Like their backgrounds, and the trailers are no longer just like these simple trailers. They're stories. And apart from Zelda franchise, this is really the only series I can think of where it gets me to tear up. And I've said numerous times, if you know me, I don't cry. Like it'd be hard to find a moment where I cry. But the fact that I can play this game and tear up just is a testament to how gorgeous the game is and how amazing the story is. But I thought we'd go in and watch some emotional, not sad. This one is the saddest moments, but there's so many moments where, whether it be happy or whatever, that still draws that emotion of wanting to tear up. So this one is Nichika's Goodbye. This fucking quest, oh my god. So, backstory, if you haven't done this, Xilonin's aunt had a daughter named Nichika, and she died. So her aunt was essentially, she took another child and was pretty much infusing that child with the memories of Nichika, and it was not working out. And at the very end, you're gonna see what has to happen. And fun fact, there are certain quests in Natlan where, like, the quest where you meet Bona and Coco, these certain quests will allow you to see them in the Night Kingdom when you and Mawika are kind of going through. And Nichika is one of them. If you do this quest, she'll appear in one of the little fights that you have to do. Same thing with Coco and Bona. So if you haven't done the fifth act, I would recommend doing these quests, so that way you get that full experience of having those NPCs there. Because seeing Nichika and hearing her, reaction to this whole thing, it's like, oh my god. But without further ado, so this is Nichika's Goodbye. It's fucking quest, man.
It's alright. It's alright. You'll see Mommy soon. Nichika. Keep back! Those are distorted thoughts. And the mists are the thoughts' twisted cries. If you become tainted by them, they will control you, and you'll never be free again. Where are you? I don't want medicine. It hurts. It hurts. Why am I alone? Nichika, why? No more medicine. Will you stay with me forever? Please never leave me again. Telasoli, you're the one who twisted Nichika's name into a shackling prison. It's time for you to hear her true voice. Stone engraved and echoing peaks converge disperse. In ashes be reborn, for flames born anew, and the blazing dawn. Mommy will be with you, Nechka. Always and forever.
Mommy, I've always been with you. And now you're finally listening to me. The old hurts the new, as flowers shield the roots, so life ever cycles until we return to the loam. We've known each other a while, but we've never met. You're Nechka? Yes, but I still don't know your name. My name's Nepeka. It really suits you. Nepeka, I bless you from the past and wish that every day of your future will be filled with peace and happiness.
You've worked tirelessly.
So that quest. So like basically because she was just comprised of memories of from other people, she's not able to fully form Nichka as she was. It's just like an amalgamation of certain memories, and it pretty much was unstable. But her aunt kidnaps this kid and tries to essentially recreate her daughter. And while yes, you can understand it's a grieving mother, the fact that she went to such an extreme just to replace her own daughter that she kidnapped someone else's daughter. And so the emotion of there's sadness, but then at the end when the two girls can finally meet because they've been part of each other, Nichika was part of her for so long, and they finally got to meet. Then there's like this sense of happiness and kind of a moment of clarity where she kind of knows her place now, and she's no longer this amalgamation of some negative emotions and this and that. She's her truest form. And Nepeka is back to being who she is. But it's such a great quest, and I recommend doing it. And here we have Arlecchino's story quest, her and Clairvy, who is the girl right there.
From the shadows to overthrow the House of the Hearth. Now, by my authority as the Knave, I shall announce how this matter ends. You are hereby expelled from the House of the Hearth. You are no longer tied to this place, nor are you bound by its rules.
You're saying that I can finally leave? I get to experience the outside world as well? Oh, I almost forgot. There's no getting older for me. Still, seeing who you grew up to be makes me really happy, Parallel. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.
May we meet again someday.
So Clairvy and Arlecchino were friends as kids, essentially sisters. And they were together in the House of the Hearth when Mother was the Knave. And Mother was not a kind person at all. She was cruel and the exact opposite of what you expect a mother to be. That's why the Knave or Arlecchino goes as father, because she protects and she treats them as a father would, the kind compassion. She's distant, but not without reason. We see that she does very much care for them, but she wants them to be prepared for a world where she may not exist. So she wants them to rely more on each other than rely on her, because she knows that she won't always be around to help. But we know she does care because of, one of the in Nodcry with the Moon Festival. She picks up the cat ears, puts them on, and the first thing she thinks of is, I wonder if this is what it feels like for Lynette. The first thing she thinks of is one of her children. But Clairvy was kind of stuck. She was kind of killed by Arlecchino. And she was kind of stuck in this state of being for a long time, like bound to the House of the Hearth. And people were like, oh yeah, there's this figure that seen around the House of the Hearth, and no one really understood what it was. And then we do investigating, we find it's Clairvy, and she can't really go into the sun. Every time she does, she just kind of disappears. And this is a moment where, by kind of what you see with Arlecchino saying she's banned, just get out. You're not allowed in the House of the Hearth anymore. While she's coming across as cold, she's doing it to finally release Clairvy's spirit, so where she can finally move on and not be bound to an area anymore. And it's a great quest, between learning about Mother to the fight with Arlecchino and seeing the siblings fighting together to try to defeat her, to this moment where you see she's very cold, but she's sad because this was her sister. But Clairvy was a great character, and she's brought up again. She's shown in Nodcry when Arlecchino's talking about the fireplace, and the fire that it's not a literal fireplace, how it's just the fire that burns within someone, and it shows Clairvy, and it's like, oh my god, they brought her up again. That's amazing. I love to see the fact that I even remember I was recording. I'm like, they showed her. This was a character from a story quest, a character's story quest. Didn't think it would be brought up again, but no, they showed this fire, and inside was Clairvy, and it's like, oh, that is so cool. That is so cool that they brought that up. But she's very cold, but she had to do what she had to do to release Clairvy. So instead of like, oh, this and that, she's had to be cold and distant and like, no, you're banned from the House of the Hearth. You're go. Because she knew it was what was needed to, because it was essentially Mother's fault that she was kind of remaining there, and only with the kind of the authority of Father was Clairvy kind of able to finally move on with the permission of Father. But it's a really great quest, and if you haven't done it, I recommend like all the quests that you need to do.
The light turned into a seed?
The miracle tree that blesses the people, in this moment new to the world and yet to be known. When to plant it, where it shall bloom. She who brings it into being must let her heart and dreams decide. Grant it life, eh?
Is it really?
Eternity extends time into infinity. Dreams illuminate each moment within. When both shine in unison, the sacred Sakura blooms from the darkness, finally free from the clutches of the heavenly principles. Now the nightmare has dissipated, and reality is made whole. the vision we both yearn for is still further ahead. My only regret is that I cannot witness Inazuma's future, nor can I walk this journey with you. Do you know, A? I am so happy right now, because my final wish has now come true. Your polearm once protected me from countless calamities. For this, I've always felt indebted to you. Though I could never repay you in full, this sacred Sakura will buy you some time until you are ready to awaken and embrace the new. What do you think? Did it do the trick? This time, it really is goodbye, eh? Goodbye, Makoto.
When plagues wrap
Makoto. So A and Makoto were sisters, born of lightning, or so they say. And 500 years ago, with Conria, her sister decided that she was going to go by herself, despite not being the fighter. When it came to the fighting, she was the stronger of the sisters. She was like the right hand of her sister. So her sister goes to Conria, and of course, she's wounded, fatally wounded. And by the time that A finally gets there, she's pretty much there long enough to see her sister die. So we do this with her during the quest. This is her story quest. And it's her kind of coming to terms with not only her sister's death, but the fact that she can't have eternity the way she wants it. Because after her sister dies, her friends die, she kind of has this mental breakdown where she doesn't want things to change. She believes in eternity. She wants things to remain the same so that way she doesn't have to lose anything. She locks herself away in her plane of euthymia and has the Raiden Shogun puppet kind of going about the day-to-day duties as the Archon because she doesn't want to deal with any of it. She's so emotionally broken at this point that she just wants to cut herself out of the world. And she makes the puppet in a way to where the only way she can override the puppet's orders is by coming to terms with things and defeating her, not in a sense of a battle, but through her will. Because before that, her will had been shattered. She lost her sister. She lost her best friends. She was broken, and she wanted everything to remain the same. So only by having the will to overcome and overpower the puppet of her would she be able to override any orders that she'd given. So this was her own like self journey where it was her embracing that her sister's gone, her friends are gone, and eternity just it's not healthy. You don't want things to stay the same forever, because sometimes, especially in Inazuma, it looks like it's stuck in the past, and that's not right compared to like all the other nations, how they've moved on, they evolve. And the Raiden Shogun, she's so hell-bent on keeping things the same so she doesn't have to lose anything. And I've said before, when it comes to like someone like Farina was human. 500 years, the mental anguish she had to deal with as a human. Every Archon, even A, has nothing but respect for Farina, because she went through loss, and look what she did. She shut herself out from the world. She had a puppet run things for her because she couldn't handle it. She was not mentally able to handle it. So this quest and her being able to say goodbye to her sister is her finally coming to terms with, eternity. While it may seem nice to want to pursue, you can't keep things the same forever. You have to move on. You have to let progress happen. You have to be able to hurt, because that's how we overcome things and grow. You don't just lock yourself away in your own little plane of existence and just like, oh, I don't want to deal with it. So her being able to see her sister, and finally saying goodbye for real this time, I think it was the perfect closure for her and her story. And, between siblings and, you see the, the, her will and everything that she had to overcome. And the Sakura tree, like, it's like, oh, well, how does it exist? How is she planting it now when we know it exists in the wibbly wobbly timey wimey? But I think A's was beautiful, and it was the same thing. Emotionally, it was sad, but it was also hopeful and, happy, to see someone who had been shut out from the world for so long finally coming to grips with reality that, yes, her friends are gone, her sister is gone, but she can't force everyone else around her to stay the same just because she's feeling emotional and can't accept things. So I hope sometime in the future we will see Inazuma progressed a little more, with technology and stuff like that, in like a future update where we can kind of get updated, cities and stuff. Because now with the Vision Hunt Decree not being there, with A being out and about more, with her not seeking eternity, it allows the people of Inazuma to flourish and grow and evolve, not just culturally, but technologically and all this, what it should be. So it's so good. There's so many emotions just in this one freaking scene.
Goodbye, Makoto.
When plagues ravaged the land, one doctor made a pledge to rid the world of pain and suffering. But even the most ingenious mortal medicine could not stay the tide of disease. And after working tirelessly for many years, even his dearest loved ones fell sick and bade their final farewell. Legends told of an herb lord in Chenyu Vale who could cure any illness known to mankind. The doctor sought the herb lord, but found only a white snake, its breathing weak and its power all but spent.
Sign this contract and let our lives be joined. Then I will impart to you the secret art of healing. But be warned, this art will harm your own health.
With means beyond human ken, the doctor could now reverse the process of death. And yet, the time still came to say goodbye. Only now, the one departing was the doctor, his life force spent. His final act in life was to pass on the contract to his final patient, his favorite disciple. The disciple chose to dedicate their life to saving the lives of others. And generation upon generation followed in these footsteps. Since I inherited this contract, I've always respected the path taken by my predecessors and followed it myself unquestioningly. That is, until I tried to use the art to save my own disciple's beloved. She begged me not to use up my own life force. She said that this art is a poisoned chalice, an evil and unnatural practice. She did not wish to sacrifice one life for the sake of another, when both were lives she treasured. Only then did it occur to me. Did I not suffer when my master passed away, just as patients' families do at their loved one's deathbed? Are not the lives cut short by this contract just as worthy of saving as any patients? What is this contract to us? Medicine or poison? Alas, I no longer have enough time left to find the answer. I entrust to your care both Changsheng and this final question. May you find a remedy for this conundrum, which has ailed us so.
Time and again, no matter how much I try to warn them or balance their chi, I can never save them. And you? What's your answer?
If I abandoned the contract and left you without a host, what would happen?
I suppose I'd spend my final moments taking a nice nap on Mount Yaojun. Then I'd be reunited with my old friends and your predecessors.
Then it's decided. If there's a life in front of me that deserves to be saved, why shouldn't I do everything within my power to save it?
Once again, it's the same answer. So be it. Close your eyes. Who knows how many more people will take on this contract?
None. This contract will end with me.
Yeah, so Baiju essentially every time he heals someone, or rather someone who's just really, really, really bad. I think just going about daily life and stuff like that, it's not doing too much. But when it comes to like life or death, he kind of has to use a part of himself in order to save them, which shortens his life, as per the contract with Changsheng. His life is kind of bound to hers at the point, so it seems like when he dies, so does she. But by having the contract with her, it's like I said, he can cure some of the most impossible illnesses, but at the cost of himself, which when you think of it from an emotional perspective or just human perspective, it's sad, it's beautiful and sad, because he's more than willing to give up his own life, quite literally, to save others. He knows about the contract, obviously. He knows if he keeps doing it, he's going to die. And yet he keeps doing it because he just cares that much and he wants to help. Which seems like his predecessors were the same way, because Changsheng even says, oh, I've heard this answer before. But now he's a vision holder, so I don't know if being a vision holder grants him some sort of immunity or slows things down. Because after all, visions are essentially given to you by the gods. So, the archons and celest, the heavenly principles, their authority is more than, Changsheng's. So I would assume that having a vision kind of delays or slows it down, which is why he doesn't seem to be so worried about it right now, because he's got his vision. And it might buy him enough time to kind of find a way to reverse the issue, to where he doesn't have to die, because he's going to want to continue helping people, and if his life is cut short. But the fact that he's willing to do it, to sacrifice his life energy to save others, it shows what kind of person he is. We know what kind of person he is. Very caring. I mean, look how his tolerance with Chi-Chi. He's very, very kind, very compassionate, very, very patient. He seems to care very much for Chi-Chi. He cares, like, making house calls all the way in Chinsa village, and that's a long walks away. And he's more than happy to go over there to take care of someone. You got to remember, they don't have transportation. So if he has to go to Chinsa village or something, he has to walk. And he's making all these house calls because he genuinely cares. And there's a beauty in that, because again, he knows he's killing himself doing it. but also on these trips, he can also find different herbs. He can find, being out in the open, under the sky, under the gaze of the gods, essentially. He can possibly find new ways to heal. So it kind of gives him a moment of some clarity being out in the open rather than like in a house or boo boo pharmacy. He can contemplate medicines and methods, and so that walk also gives him that time to think. But now this is the Yaksha, I believe. Yeah. Was it Bosacius? Bosacius? I think it was Bosacius. It's one of the Yaksha.
Menogius, where have you been?
Brother Yaksha, you're confused again. I've told you countless times, I am Boyoung, a thaumaturge who fought with you in the chasm.
Boyoung? Boyoung? You are Boyoung, but who am I?
Believe me, I want to know as much as you do. Here we are, the two who agreed to stay here together, and I can't even call you by your name. It's a shame.
Stay here? No, you have to leave.
Nonsense, Brother Yaksha. We're down here for good now. Don't you remember? It's too late to have regrets. The seal can't be broken.
The seal. Ah, yes. I'm a Yaksha who came here to fight.
Brother, are you okay?
Look at the state of me. I don't think I've got long now.
We're the only two left. Don't go dying on me. You know, today I saw my family down here. Clear as day. What do you think? Am I losing my mind now too?
Boyoung, do you want to go home?
I made my decision to leave Zhongzhou up on the surface. I obviously... Of course I want to go home.
I must have family too.
You mean brothers and sisters? I'm sure you do.
Brothers and sisters. Yes, but who am I? And where is my family?
Brother, what's wrong? Hang in there. It's just you and me. Don't die before me.
Alatus, is that you?
Who's Alatus? Your memory's going again.
I'm sorry. You all have to see me in this state.
Brother!
Look, there's someone over there.
Who are they?
They're my... I remember now. I know you. My brothers and sisters have come for me, Boyoung.
You're awake? At least tell me your name.
Brother Bosacius.
Hey, Bosacius. Bosacius.
I am Bosacius, and my destiny is to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Bosacius, one of the Yaksha, and Zhao's brother, essentially. They're all Adepti. And Zhao, being the sole survivor, obviously you can imagine how hard it was for him, but Bosacius, he's down there in the chasm, and he's essentially forgetting who he is. You can tell it's almost like if you've ever had anyone in your life who has like dementia or Alzheimer's, that's what it was like. He doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't remember who you are. He doesn't. His memory just keeps going, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. His body's breaking down. His mind is breaking down. It's harder for him to function. And I can't remember the specifics of how they ended. I mean, he went down there to fight because of I think it was the abyss that was down there. And like, it's been so long since I've done that quest, but the finale of that quest, if I remember, it's where they're kind of like on the seal or whatever, and they're traveling up, and in order to kind of give them a chance of getting to the surface, Zhao sacrifices himself, and because of his sacrifice, Zhongli kind of jumps in and saves him. We don't actually see it, but we see like the Geo thing kind of enveloping Zhao and kind of saving him. And then during the cutscene, we see Zhongli just kind of standing up on the cliff, kind of looking down. But I remember it was really emotional, like an emotional quest. You're like with Yanfei, Yelan was there, Ito was there. So you have so many characters involved in this. The Traveler, of course, Zhao, and we're all investigating the chasm, trying to piece things together. But just his final moments of finally having clarity of who he is, and seeing his brothers and sisters after being separated from them, even though it was just spiritually. And one hopes that when one dies, that's kind of what it's like. This sense of, the purest form of oneself. Finally, everything kind of comes back to you, and you're kind of welcomed by those kinds of memories. I mean, people say that when you die, you get your life flashing before your eyes and stuff like that. But for him, he finally got that kind of peace after however long of forgetting who he was and just slowly breaking down mentally and physically. And again, if you have someone in your life who has dementia or has Alzheimer's, you know exactly what it's like. So it probably hit really hard for some people. While the people we know aren't 500 thousands of years old, you clearly understand what it's like to have someone in your life who's going through that, not remembering who they are, or not able to do simple tasks like eat, or you ask them what they just ate, they can't tell you. But it's it is emotional because again, it hits close to home for people who have individuals and loved ones in their lives who are going through that, and to be kind of trapped in the chasm with just one other person. Your brothers and sisters are dead, except for Zhao. He was like he was the sole survivor, but not knowing your fate, not knowing if you're going to be stuck down there or able to get out, not knowing how long your body can continue. That's got to be one of the most terrifying experiences of anyone. Even someone who is an adeptus, even they experience that same fear that a human would. That, am I going to make it out alive? I mean, what's going to happen to me? And again, the storytelling, Hoyo can really write a good fucking story. Okay, so this is Cloud Retainer. It's her story quest, and it involves the sibling And anything that involves these two together, every fucking time. I cannot handle seeing these two together because every time we see them together, it's always a dream or fake, or oh, it's a consciousness and we're not going to remember anything we talk. It's always something. And for people who have siblings who may not be around, you were together all the time as kids, but then whatever happened, you moved to one different part of the country and you're separated. What these these siblings are going through, this constant not getting to see each other, and when you do get to see each other, it's for a brief moment, but something happens. So this is another moment where that's why these two characters are so loved, because it hits that human feeling of we all have siblings or someone we care about where this might have happened, not 500 years apart, but we understand what the siblings are going through. But every time with the siblings, every fucking time, just the waterworks, just every fucking time.
I always believed we would see each other again, that our days of separation would finally end, and all my troubles would be behind me. If only things could stay this way forever.
A nightmare? Curious. If you're relaxed, shouldn't your dreams be pleasant?
It was a good dream. It's just...
You weren't ready to wake up. Eloquent as one may be, words of comfort are not one's strong suit. You are doing all you can. One can see your strength of will, your fearlessness in the face of danger. And so, whatever your dream may be, one believes that you shall achieve it. Of course, whenever the perils you face overwhelm you, or you become weary, one is always here for you. After all, as an elder, it is only right to look out for the young ones.
Every fucking time, man. Every fucking time. Anything that deals with these two. Oh. You just want them to be together again so fucking bad. But now the girl, I can't remember the specifics. I think that was her grandmother that we see. And it, between seeing that it was a dream, but then Cloud Retainer kind of being there as this motherly figure and comforting him, despite the fact that she's not very, like, very versed in how humans feel and behave, she was still there and able to offer words of encouragement and comfort and, say that no matter, if you need someone, I'm here for you. We just want them to be together again. Like, seriously. How hard is it? Yeah, this every time, this is bedtime stories, and the ending of this, after this cutscene, when you go back into the world, you get a picture of you and your sister together with Kari Bear in the back, saying, try to get along, both of you. And it's like, oh God. Because again, you want these two to be like the four words, we will be reunited, have just driven the community, because we just want them to be together again. Because it hits that human experience of having someone you care about and being separated from them. And then every time you try to meet or this or that, something goes wrong. So it hits to that human experience and that emotion of just wanting to be with the person you care about. So with Bedtime Story, they're actually there together, but because it's Kari Bear's consciousness and it's faded, that the space that they're in is no longer stable. So everything they talk about, they won't be able to remember. They won't remember seeing each other. He won't remember anything she said about what she's doing or why she's doing it. And it's just like, just let them be together. Fuck.
Looks like I was too late to see Kari Bear one last time. Kari Bear's consciousness is gone, and this space will soon disappear along with it. Neither of us belongs here. That's why we're not tangible.
Has limitless potential.
Okay, that was kind of abrupt. But she's, says that's why they're not tangible, but if they were able to, that she'd love to hug him too. And again, it's just want these two to be together. It's been 5 years, and every time we see them, it's either a phantom of like the abyss, the consciousness is fading, we won't be able to remember. It's just a dream. It's our sister's right behind us watching us, but she's not going to come down and say anything. It's just one thing after another, after another, after another. Here we have the captain, who I really hope the way they set him up, I don't think he's gone for good. Because the lights are on, but no one's home. His body's still there. His body's still alive. It's just his soul is gone. His soul has merged with the Night Kingdom and the Lord of the Night, giving her eternal life. But his body is still there. So they still have ways of bringing him back, but it won't be him. But his backstory, getting this in the Archon quest.
You have wielded it with bravery and honor. I grant you the title of Sentinel Knight. Like the 4 pillars of strength, you will continue to safeguard the glory of Conria.
The glory of Conria.
Our land, our dignity, and every comrade who fights alongside us.
The Night Kingdom is almost destroyed. Our fallen soldiers, your comrades, they have nowhere to go. Huh? What are you doing? Are you taking all their souls with you? You're just an ordinary person. You can't bear that kind of burden.
No hero should have to wander alone.
Probably one of the greatest lines in this quest. No hero should have to wander alone. Every fucking time. This game, I swear to Lucifer.
The curse of immortality. Using immortality to fight death. Using my rules against me.
Make your choice. Reject your rules. Or allow me to trigger the paradox.
The curse of immortality must stand. Use it to fulfill your final wish.
Well fought, my lord. Thank you for everything.
This time, let's go together. Yes. Let's go together.
So the captain, this dude who for 500 years carried the souls of everyone who fell in the heart that he had, hoping to return them to the ley lines. He couldn't sleep. Because of all the voices, he tried to help them in other nations. He couldn't do it. And Natlan was like the only place where he could find the resolution he needed, because the ley lines in Natlan were so destroyed that he knew that if he could fix the ley lines there, he'd be able to help the people who he was, harboring in his heart. And we see Guthrid and everyone else, and the fact that when you hear his music, his theme play as he's walking up, the no hero thing. Again, and this fucking game. He was such a cool character. And, when you hear the first of the Fatui Harbingers, we thought he was going to be some evil asshole, but he's by far one of the most honorable people in the game. He truly cares not only for Natlan and the souls from Natlan that he's holding within him, but he truly cares about the world, and he's going to all these great lengths to try to heal it, and he gives up his own life to, life, because he's immortal. He can't die. So again, the lights are on, but no one's there. His soul has been released, and it's merged with the Lord of the Night and the ley lines, but his body is still there. It's still alive. It's just kind of like in a stasis. But he goes through all these great lengths, and just to help those who weren't able to move on. And in doing so, he was able to help himself finally move on. And we hear from the Lord of the Night, where, for those cursed with immortality, released from the mortal coil is like the greatest, thing that one can achieve, because they're no longer bound to that curse. I mean, he found a way to basically say, fuck you to death. Like, he was cursed with immortality, but he was like, no, fuck you. I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this game. And the fact that Renova was like, well, the curse of immortality must stand, that she didn't want to go back on the rules because she knows that it would be going against the heavenly principles. And so she essentially allows him to trigger this paradox of him being alive and dead at the same time out of pride, essentially. But we also, very symbolic with this. I saw a lot of people just think there must always be a Lich King, and the fall of, the fall of the king, really, this noble character who kind of turned. In this case, the captain did not go as crazy as Arthas did, but this is very much I wouldn't be surprised if they, Wrath of the Lich King and inspiration, because this looks like the Frozen Throne. Warcraft 3, Wrath of the Lich King. You see Arthas sitting there, Frostmourne. But it's that tragic hero where he does so much and then he sacrifices himself in the end. The captain sacrifices his life, whereas Arthas sacrifices his sanity, his soul, essentially. Like, oh, I'll do whatever it takes to protect the people of Lordaeron. And he slowly falls into madness thanks to Frostmourne, and so he loses his soul, essentially, where this man keeps it the entire time. And only through this is he finally able to set his soul free along with everyone else that he was harboring in his heart. And that's why the captain is one of the greatest fucking characters.
Tree of wisdom, peering out to perceive the world.
Okay, Nahida, the Archon quest, this one, same thing. Fucking breaks me every time. If you haven't done this quest for yourself, watching it doesn't do it justice. You have to experience it. And having experienced this several times, like, I have 3 accounts. So I've gone through this quest 3 times. And while the rest, this is what, Act 5. While the other acts are okay-ish, it's always the 5th act that really fucking hits you in the gut with the emotions. And this is, up until this point, Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, the endings were okay for the quests, but this just took it to a new level. And then we were blessed with Fontaine. But this moment between Nahida and Rukkhadevata, I've seen people not even know context behind this who start tearing up because of how emotional it is. So, oh my God, this fucking game.
From the earth and from the rain, we perceive its wonders, until we become a white bird to perch atop a branch, and finally snap off the most important leaf. Once upon a time, I alone dreamed in this world. In my dreams, everybody would also dream after they fell asleep. Wild and wonderful thoughts would emerge from their minds. Some tumbled to the ground, and others floated to the sky, connecting all things in the world into one dazzling net. Among a plethora of worlds were numerous smaller worlds, all of fate, finding within the tapestry their brilliant glow. I gradually understood that these indescribable and constantly changing things are the most profound things in the world. Only they can completely repel the madness. Only dreams can awaken consciousness from the deepest darkness. I'm the one who posed this question, yet also the one who sought a solution. Saving the world with the dreams of the people used to be my answer. And now, you've also found your own answer, and I shall return all the dreams to the people. Goodbye, people of Sumeru. May you be blessed tonight with the sweetest of dreams.
Oh my god. Like I said, I'm not like, I don't flat out like, oh my god, Ball, but the fucking tears. Like, so, Ruka Devata was, she basically Irminsul, and because she had been essentially corrupt with, you know, forbidden knowledge, which was like the abyss, it was essentially corrupting Irminsul, and the only way to save Irminsul and kind of save everyone else was to erase her, essentially. And by doing that, it would be as if she never existed. Everything she did would still be there, but it would be seen as like Nahida has done, like she was the one who did those things instead of Ruka Devata. And, you know, Nahida's like, well, this is just cruel. I don't want to forget you. It's like, you've done so much for Sumeru. It's like, we can't just forget you. But, you know, she says that, well, you admire and love wisdom and finding solutions and answers. You found your answer. You should be happy with that, you know? And while it's sad and it's beautiful, because it's like she says that she wants everyone to forget her, and you know that Nahida will forget her, and that'll be like she never existed. But then there's that ignorant bliss where, because she doesn't remember her, she can't feel sad about it because she won't remember her in the first place. Now we remember because we're not affected by Irminsul. We're not in Irminsul, so any kind of wipe, we're not affected. We're not affected by that, so we still retain those memories. But for Nahida and everyone else, they completely forget about her. And again, it's like ignorant, you know, the bliss and all that, because Ruka Devata has been wiped from their memories. There's no reason to be sad now. You see how sad Nahida is when it's like, well, I don't want to forget you. But without Ruka Devata in her memory, it's not like she can remember anything about it in the first place, and she has no reason to be sad. But then we see Dunyarzad and Calais with the little, what is it, like Elazar? Like it's like a disease type thing, being taken care of because of Ruka Devata. And this quest, this was the quest that's, it crawled so that the rest could run, because after this we get Fontaine, and I think that's probably the next one, probably. And then we get Natlan, and now we've up to Nodcry, and it just keeps getting better and better. So this was the start. Sumeru crawled so that all the others could walk or run at some points.
The hour of my execution is on.
Yeah. Oh my god. Is there anything after this? No, but I do have some other ones that we're going to watch. And if you stuck around, you must like this, like the emotional roller coaster as much as I do. But this one, same thing. People can watch this, no context at all. and still get emotional. That is just how good this scene is.
Almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Eudex Nervalette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Every fucking time, man. So Focalor, the true Hydro Archon at the time, she had this plan that she set into place 500 years ago to kind of prevent Fontaine from being flooded. But it would flood, but like it would still save everyone. So she separates her divinity from herself, and so just leaves a human form, and that becomes Farina. Farina is then tasked with, hey, you have a job to do. For however long now, you are to play the role of the Hydro Archon. You can't let anyone know. You can't waver. You can't falter, because if you do, all of Fontaine, flooded. It goes bye-bye. So while Farina was cursed with immortality, she still had the body and the mind of a human. So for 500 years, Farina had to act like an Archon, find ways of reversing the prophecy from happening, and hoping that Focalor, whatever she said, would help. Focalor kind of reveals her plan, and you got like the sword of Damocles right there. It's just constantly following her as she dances. And the fact that it looks like an Oceanid, which that's what Focalor was originally. She was one of Egeria's familiars, an Oceanid familiar. The fact that it looks like an Oceanid, it's so good. And then, just the final dance, just, she's the dancer here, whereas Farina's more of the actress. But the one final performance before essentially the curtains, or in this case, the blade before it falls. And she finishes and she gives one final bow, and one final bow, and she's gone. We get that basically. Oh my god. It's just Focalor hoping that Farina can live as a human the way that she wished she could, because Focalor wanted to be human as well. So, and then we get the swelling of the music, this beautiful image of Fontaine outside of the Opera Epiclese. It's pouring rain, which means you know how Neuvillette is feeling, because the rain is his emotions. When it's light and just drizzly, it's like, oh, I'm just not feeling that great. It's pouring like this. Focalor's death and everything affected him. He is destroyed on the inside right now. And he is crying. And we see that. And not only is it raining, but you can see he's physically emotional. Which is, it's Neuvillette. We don't see him physically emotional. So the fact that you can hear him essentially crying can tell you how hard Focalor's death hit him. That everything she did was not only to save Fontaine, but to destroy the throne of the Hydro Archon and return that power to him. Because he is the Hydro Dragon of the planet, and his power was stolen from him by the Heavenly Principles. So she not only wanted to save Fontaine, but since she's the god of justice, she thought it was just to return his power to him, because whole of Fontaine was like, oh, well, we're cursed because Egeria, like Egeria used the power of the Primordial Sea to create humans out of her Oceanid familiars. And so the Heavenly Principles were like, oh, well, you can't do that. We didn't give you permission to create new humans, so you're all gonna drown. Bye-bye. But you have the Heavenly Principles who came to the planet. They're not even from this planet. They came to this planet, waged war against the dragons and Nibelung, who were the original inhabitants of the planet, stole their powers, their elemental powers. And it's like, why should they be able to come and do that? But then Egeria, who wanted to create, give human form to her familiars, why was that such a problem? So Focalor was like, you know what? Fuck the Heavenly Principles. I'm reversing all of this. The Fontainians will become humans. He will get his power back as a Hydro Archon, and the biggest middle finger of all, destroying the Hydro Archon throne of divinity, to where there can't be a Hydro Archon anymore, giving a big fuck you to to Celestia and the Heavenly Principles. So she was playing 4-5D chess the entire time, but it also came down to whether or not Farina would break, and whether or not after 500 years he would have enough compassion to forgive Fontaine and to forgive Egeria. And luckily enough, he did. He saw humans, and seeing them and their emotions, and being the judge, the Eudex for so long, he couldn't give a guilty verdict, because he knew it was wrong, because he'd come to care for them. And he even says, after all this time, like, surely I could never declare them to be guilty, because it wasn't their fault. You had Egeria, her familiars just wanted to be human. They watched the humans and how they went about their lives, and they just wanted that. So Egeria just gave her familiars what they wanted, a life. So there's nothing wrong. But they were doomed because of that, because of the Heavenly Principles. But it came down to Farina and Neuvillette, and they both made it through to the end. Which one was this? Actually, let's watch this one next. Yeah, Neuvillette, he was the deciding factor. Even if Farina had, even if she makes it, Neuvillette was the deciding factor. If he saw fit to condemn Fontaine, the waters would rise and everyone would die. But as soon as he gave that verdict of, saying, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven, it's like instantaneously their blood vessels, instead of being filled with primordial seawater, it became real blood. So when that water rose, they wouldn't dissolve. Had he not said that, the water would have risen and they would have died. So it was all really on Neuvillette, and he made the right choice because he is compassionate. And after being the Eudex for 500 years and seeing the plights of humans and the extent of human emotions and dealing with Farina, he's like, I can't. It's not their fault. Why would I condemn them to that? But this one is Yoimiya's second story quest. And again, watching it is one thing. I would recommend going and experience it yourself. There's the little girl, I forget her name, but she's basically paralyzed from the waist down. And we're kind of like in this dreamscape where anything you want can happen. But this, with the...
Just like fireworks.
So the whole quest is great. It gets to this point. The music, this is like one of those where you tear up because it's a sense of happiness. There's nothing sad in this cutscene. The music playing is very fun and whimsical and like fantasy, and you see these huge shooting stars and they're riding on them, and then they're exploding. They're like fireworks, and but Yoimiya reaches out and she starts to fall, and then her music plays, and you get this last bit with her saying it's just like fireworks, and it's just so fucking good. the whole thing is gorgeous again because they're in a dreamscape type place. You know, the girls walking and you know, you got the R&R there, and you know these huge fucking shooting stars, and pretty much like it's like, oh well, why isn't she worried about dying? Because she's in a dreamscape. She knows she's not gonna die. So as she's falling, she's watching these stars just explode like fireworks. You know, and you know we got Traveler swooping in and saving her, and but again, just as she's falling, we get her music, her theme. So like when you get emotional, it's happiness. It's, you know, because she's such a nice character. She's bubbly and kind, and you know, her obsession with fireworks. I mean, her obsession with explosions probably rivals that of Klee. But just the fact that she's falling from the sky, and she's looking up and seeing these stars exploding like fireworks, and she doesn't care about the free falling right now. She's just enjoying the moment, which is what she is. That's her character. Enjoy the moment. But that last line. It's like I said, it's a happy feeling. You know, there's some that are really, really sad that will get you emotional, but then you have ones like that and like this. It's just that sense of happiness and hope. But I did this quest again not too long ago, and the whole story with Mizuki and you know, getting to hang around with her and learning how the Yumekui Baku kind of function, how they eat nightmares, and this whole process that they have about when they do. It's like, you know, for her, she experiences all those negative emotions and she starts to cry because she's experiencing so much negative emotion that she cries. And how she, despite being a Baku and the other Baku not being like her, she understands human emotion. She can separate the sweet dreams from the nightmares, and she can taste different emotions. But this is the kind of the closing cutscene after we kind of go into this kind of dream nightmare for one of the characters that we're kind of chasing. And again, it's a hopeful and happy moment, but it's enough to get you emotional because of how beautiful it is and the story. Because again, watching it is one thing. You have to actually experience it. You know, and I watched it. I was like, okay, well, I can go back and do the quest again. And I went back and I got to this part, and I just start to tear up because of how fucking beautiful it is.
Hold on tight. The Yomekui Baku are getting to work.
So that moment right there, every fucking time it gets me emotional. I love that image so much. Like it I truly love that. It is so fucking gorgeous. I have it set as my background. It is so fucking beautiful. You know, being able to see Inazuma City like that. So the whole thing starts, you know, we're leaving the like the nightmare that we were in. And so we've got all these nightmares. That's what these are. They're nightmares. And so that's why she gets the Yumekwi Baku to come in, because that's their job, is to eat nightmares. And we've got the little Yumekwi Baku right there, and they're fucking adorable. Also, I love the Pac-Man reference, that little yellow Baku with the little pellets, the power pellets. So they added a little Pac-Man reference in there. And then we get the big Chungus. We have all these Baku getting this massive nightmare for this adorable Chungus right here. But then again, like I said, it's not sad, but it's happy and hopeful, especially right there. Like really, apart from the image, like listen to the music and think to yourself what emotion that conveys. Like, what do you feel that conveys? What emotion are you feeling? For me, you know, you get this beautiful image where it looks like there's stars in the city, but then you realize that no, those are nightmares. But that chorus, that angelic chorus, is hope, because it looks bad, but you know it's being taken care of. You know that there's nothing to worry about because the Baku are taking care of it. So while yes, you have all these nightmares all over the city, it's still hopeful because it's going to be okay. And I've actually wondered, are any of them coming from Tenshukaku? Is A dreaming at this moment? Like, are any of these nightmares hers? But that like, it just feels it's just hope. And despite the fact that things look bad, it's not bad. It's gonna be okay. And the whole quest with Mizuki, and she's just a great fucking character. You know, she's so gorgeous, and her personality is great. And you know, we get Miko showing up, and you know, we get to see the kind of friendship between those two, and her friendship with the other two Baku who work for her, and just that moment of, you know, this whole whimsy sort of feel, like a Peter Pan moment. And then we just get this gorgeous shot of Inazuma City and Shukaku right there, with the nightmares rising up looking like stars in the night sky. And it's so fucking gorgeous. It's just so fucking gorgeous. I can cut that one out. And then, you know, we have more of the current ones. Like, I pulled up, where is it? This one, so we can watch some of the current ones. But here's Citlali, her colors. From the perspective of Citlali, this woman who, she doesn't seem to be immortal, but she's cursed essentially with life. We don't know how old she is. We don't know how long she has left. But the fact is, she's lived for 400 years. And watching the people you know and love live and die while you remain the same.
Granny Eatsilly, I challenge you to a fight!
Fail.
You're gonna remove the graffiti?
Doesn't matter whether you pass or fail. It all gets removed. There's only so much space on this wall.
Could you leave mine there for now? I'll come challenge you again.
You'll just have to redo it.
But I worked really hard on that design.
I'm removing it as soon as you pass.
Thanks, Granny Eatsilly.
Fail. Fail. Fail.
Granny Eatsilly, didn't you see my written challenge?
It's been a while, Granny Eatsilly.
Still at it?
No. I think my chance has long passed. But let me get rid of that for you.
Leave it. There's space. It's fine. Your graffiti. It's completely faded now. That's what time does. At least, you won't bother me again. Someone who annoyed me. One less to worry about. You annoy me too sometimes. But I hope you stick around a little longer.
Like, put yourself in that position where you outlive everyone. How lonely that feels. You know, we have this girl who, you know, she's training, who's like, oh, I'm gonna beat you and this and that. And we keep seeing this painting that she made on the wall is like a challenge to Citlali. And just this routine of this girl coming back and this and that. And then one day she realizes that this little girl is now a grandmother. And when just like watch Citlali when she says, are you still at it? You know, so still at it. And her reply, watch Citlali's face.
Still at it?
No. I think my chance has long passed.
Like, she's realizing that this little girl who she knew is old, and that soon she's going to die just like everyone else she knows. Which is why she just says, you know, like, leave it. You know, there's space. There's no reason to get rid of it anymore, because she knows that she's gonna die soon. And that on the wall, it's like the one thing that will be remaining left of her for a time until that disappears too. But here Citlali is exactly the same where everyone else around her just gets older and older and they die. You know, it's like she says with here, it's like,
It's completely faded now. That's what time does.
like time comes after everyone, but Lolly is still here. She's not immortal. We know she's not immortal because of how she talks about the captain. She says, you know, unless we, without being experiencing immortality, we won't be able to understand what the captain was going through. Meaning that she also is not immortal. She's, for whatever reason, she's just very old and able to live a long life. You know, she doesn't seem to be cursed, or maybe she is cursed and we don't know it yet. But, you know, and then she does that, you know, but she's also a person who comes across as cold a lot of the time because, you know, it's like a lot of the old, you know, the characters who are 500 plus years old. You make so many friends and loved ones and you start having to lose them. So you kind of distance yourself because you don't want to feel that pain anymore. But you have Lolly do this. And then she's like, you know, someone who annoyed me, one less to worry about. Coming across like she doesn't care. But then she kind of, you know, lets us know that she does care and she cares about us and that she doesn't want us to disappear as easily as everyone else. And then just this, the birds. You can see that essentially the baby bird and the older, perfect representation of the little girl and Lolly. It's so fucking beautiful. And I cannot imagine having that kind of life and having to watch everyone I love around me die, knowing that I'm going to remain, I'm going to look the same, I'm not going to age, not knowing how long I have left. You know, 400, 500, 600 years, everyone I know getting to see all this change around me while I remain the same, you know, like physically the same. But you can see in her face the moment she says, you know, that time's long past. You could see like the hurt on her face because this was a girl she knew when she was younger who would come and challenge her, but now she's so old and she doesn't have the time or the ability anymore. And it just reminds Lolly that while she remains, everyone else is gonna die. And I can't even, again, I can't imagine like that. This is Mavuika's. This one hits hard, especially because of with her sister Hine, which we get closure for Hine with. She gets that closure with Hine in the Archon quest. But this.
Hine's the only one who doesn't know. You should tell her yourself.
A house needs a sturdy foundation to withstand the elements.
We're almost ready to eat, you two. I made your favorite stew for dinner.
Yay!
It's almost dinner time. Let's call it a day.
Look, Mawika.
You were supposed to be listening to me.
Don't be mad, sis. It's a bookmark. To save our place. Till next time. Huh?
Come on, let's go eat. I have something to tell you.
You're gonna head 500 years in the future? You're just gonna die? I'll come find you one day. I know I can't live that long. But I'll have to be a way for us to meet again one
I couldn't find anything about Hine. I'm sorry. I'm sure she lived a happy life, if uneventful in the end.
There's a bunch of old designs inside. Don't know what they're for.
Thank you. This means a lot to me. Why don't I walk you home? I'd like to thank your family too. By the way, do you like stew?
It's my favorite.
So Mawika, who takes on the role of Archon, has to basically die so she can kind of send her spirit soul into the future. Leaves her family behind. Lolly, who you would think would be able to find something about Hine, like, no, I can't find anything about her. Like, this is the Archon's sister, and she can't find anything about her. And obviously the disappointment on Mawika's face, where she just kind of has to accept that maybe she's not going to have any kind of, closure when it comes to her sister. And here she is, just kind of where she used to live, and just how 500 years makes a difference and changes things. And then we get this girl who looks like Hine giving Mawika the book that her and Hine had. And we learn that Hine became an architect. We learn that from what she told Mawika in the Archon quest, is she didn't have time for love or anything. She wanted to help others, and she became this great architect. And I'm sure, flipping through and seeing like schematics and riggings and stuff to help the structural integrity of these places, she essentially modernized Natlan, I would assume, because these designs can be used all over Natlan. So we don't really know what Natlan looked like 500 years ago, but I would imagine that Hine, being the brilliant architect that she was, that we are seeing the fruits of her labor, her brilliance when it came to architecture, within the structures of modern Natlan. So in a way, when you think about it, Hine, even though she's gone, Mawika has been surrounded by her like this entire time through the things that she's built. And even if she didn't build it herself, her designs are being used. So she's been surrounded by her sister the whole time. Then we get the frog. It also gets brought up in the Archon quest, and when she's talking to Hine. But again, Hine was like, I didn't have time for love or life. I just wanted to help people. She became an architect, and even Lolly was like, well, I can't find anything about her, but she lived an eventful life, a good life, even if it was uneventful in the end. So she lived her life as this architect who built things, and again, just kind of helped modernize and give structural integrity to these places in Natlan. And again, like I said, with Mawika, who wanted to know more about her sister, if she wanted to know her sister, all she has to do is look at the architecture that her sister helped build. She's been with her sister the whole time. And then this moment where she wants to on the head of this girl, but instead it's like she realizes that it's not Hine, and it wouldn't be right. So instead she puts her hand on her shoulder. But this girl is, you could see it as almost like a reincarnation, but not fully. But the girl is just a person whose family was entrusted to kind of hold on to that book, and they've held on to this book for 500 years. And the girl is finally able to give back that book to Mawika. And can we just, how fucking gorgeous she is. It's, apart from the sun design in her eyes, how fucking beautiful this woman is. Even before she was Archon, like look at her. Even before she was the Archon, she's gorgeous. And I saw this moment as like almost like an Itachi Sasuke moment because she was doing that whole, she kind of like did the poke thing to the head right there, but instead of that, Itachi does the, like that. But it was like a very much like an Itachi Sasuke moment, which that alone makes it even more fucking heartbreaking because Itachi and fucking Sasuke's relationship and that final moment where he has to say goodbye to his brother for like what, a third time. It hurts so fucking much. But how fucking gorgeous is she? But she had to travel 500 years to become this Archon. And she had to leave her friends and family, Ine, who she cared about the most. And again, it's in a way she's been surrounded by her sister the whole time because of the architecture and the things that her sister built. And the modernization essentially of Natlan. So now we got through the Natlan stuff. So we will look at some of the newer stuff. Oh, it's Scoffier, the freaking Fontanian freaking Gordon Ramsay. It's fucking raw. The quest with the Nefo is really good. Oh god, yeah, this was, what was it, Act 2 of Fontaine. So we spent the time questing with what we thought was our sibling.
I never believed it. I didn't want to believe it. That strange feeling that something was off. I wanted it to be real so badly, even if it only lasted a moment. But you're not my brother.
Though I should kind of show the first part. The animation is just beautiful.
What a letdown. What a letdown.
Go get it from me, Lumine. It belongs to me.
I never believed it. I didn't want to believe it. That strange feeling that something was off. I wanted it to be real so badly, even if it only lasted a moment. But you're not my brother.
The cold night should be our blessing, yet only confusion and sorrow remain. The truth may yet lie beyond the sky, but must we become lost because of it? Standing before you, as a scion of Hyperborea and the Frost Moon's emissary, I say this. Should the false sky above dim the light of the moon, then from silver blood that flows as rivers, let us weave moonlight anew.
So there's one part of it that we're going to be watching right here. Oh god, yeah, Nefa. This was a great moment where she lifted Kuvaki cannon. But there's the one part we're about to see. Oh, Rerir, you sexy motherfucker. Right here. And this is very important, probably one of the most important because of what's involved with this. You get back to the beginning. So I kind of have to go and bring up the other part because it hits home even more, or hits harder even more, knowing the aftermath, or what came before, technically. So let me pull that up real fast. All right, so the next part. I brought up the other thing I wanted to.
That's odd. This place looks different than when we came in. Waning moon. Huh? Oh, lifeless damsel. Hurry! The place is collapsing! It wants to trap us here. Who's it? The abyss? Now we've taken the moon marrow. All that's left here is a dark will. It will show us no mercy. Give it back. The crimson hounds. My marrow. My heart. Finally! Oh no! The exit's blocked! They're back! Now what do we do?
This is where you fall. Witness my rise. What are you waiting for?
So we hear a voice. Once we go into the space, we hear a voice, and we keep hearing it. We hear it say hypo. We hear it right there at the end as well. You know, give me, my heart. And then during the quest, we meet the Moon Sisters, who are some of the most important characters in the lore. They were created by Nibelung, who is the true ruler of the planet. So Nibelung creates the world and then creates the Moon Sisters. And we get to meet them. And this moment they want to, they've given her the Trilune authority. So she is the Trilune goddess. All their authority they've given to her. So the 3 authority into 1. And now no longer being moon goddesses, they're no longer bound to the space that they're confined in. So they ask Columbina to send them back to where they can disappear but be in a place where they call home. And Sonnet, which is one of the sisters, you heard the voice before, and
Sadly. Sonnet. Yes. Don't. I wish I could tell her not to give in to the abyss, not to be afraid. But is this really what I should say at this moment? Don't forget, I'm so glad to have a big sister like you. No, Hypo. Thank you. I'm okay. I'm not afraid. As long as my sisters are with me, I won't be afraid.
So the voice was Sonnet's, and she gave into the abyss. Once Columbina sends her back and they're back onto that, she gives into the abyss. And her moon marrow is essentially corrupted, and she becomes the Crimson Moon. And this is a moment where Columbina could have helped, but she realizes that she can't, because all the events, she's just meant to try to influence things enough to where her friends know where she is and how to help her. She can't really interfere with stuff that's supposed to happen. So she knows Sonnet now. She cares for her sister, but yet she can't change future events. She has to let them happen. So she knows that once her sister goes back to that she's going to give into the abyss, which is why she's like, should I say this? But she just says that, I'm lucky to have a sister like you, because she can't change events. She needs everything to happen exactly as it's supposed to. And, Sonnet being so afraid of disappearing, but, she says she won't be afraid, but then she gives into the abyss, mostly because she's still faithful to Nibelung. And he was like, well, he gave into the abyss. But it's just heartbreaking for her, for Columbina, not being able to help her sister, knowing full well what her fate is going to be. Because after she's there, she's going to give into the abyss, and she's going to have nothing but negative emotions left. And like Canon and Arya move on, apparently. We see their moon marrow, but hers becomes the Crimson Moon because it's been affected and corrupted by the abyss. And imagine not being able to tell your sister, hey, don't give into it, because the events have to happen. Because if you change the events, you're screwing things up. But once I got to this part, I was like, oh my God. Like, not being able to tell your sister to not give into the abyss, and you have to let it happen because it's the only way that, it's so fucking heartbreaking. But then we have the next part, which is, I'll show another kind of a follow-up for that.
What's that? Rear. So the rumors about your work are true.
What? No! Listen, something happened at the palace tonight. We have to leave.
You don't need to lie to me anymore.
What do you mean?
I know why you're worried, and I will respect the decision you've made. But it's okay, because I found a solution. I know how to end all this. You can have it back. The normal life you so desire. But until then, I'm afraid our wedding will have to wait.
Cylinders? No, don't do it! Cylinders! Cylinders!
I told you, Rerir. Let her go. You will find someone better.
No! No, I won't do it! I have to save her!
By what means exactly? A lowly pawn. You lack the power and the strength of will.
Do you know a way? Tell me!
Come to the palace. Join us.
Rear. Thank goodness we...
Step forth and take your share.
You made it.
Rerir.
Lindis.
Were you daydreaming? You still remember, Rerir? That question you asked me a couple of weeks ago?
Oh. You mean the proposal?
Yeah. I'm wondering, where do you think would be a good place to discuss it? Maybe in the garden? Or were you thinking a fancy restaurant?
It's your choice. I will find you. And then, you can give me your answer.
So, Rerir, everything he did was out of love. He gave into the abyss for love. He wanted to find Thelindis. You know, you had Rhindaughter do it for knowledge, to try to gain the power to be, you know, create the perfect individual, you know, the perfect creation. Sertology for power absolute. You know, they all had their reasons. Rerir did it for love. And neither one of them survived that trip. Once he jumped through, he was ripped apart. Same thing with Thelindis. She went in there thinking she could solve things, but she basically died as well as soon as she got there. Once you realize why, like the kind of world, like the area that it was, you'll understand why. And I was showing that because of this. So we go there and we're as Columbina, we're going through the space, the moon gate. We meet Rerir. We find out that he survived. And this time he survived because you know, all the Kuvaki he absorbed, and not to mention his body. His body is like built now to last. And he tells us to give a message to Thelindis, who he can see you know, an after image of. You know, she's been gone for a while, as you can clearly see, but he knows that she's still there in some form, and he wants us to give a message to her. And so, you know, after we do, gotta sneeze, this is kind of the end. And as the moon goddess, the Trilune goddess, I'm hoping that sometime in the near future, if Rerir is a playable character, as people think, that he will be rescued, and I hope Thelindis is rescued as well. Because she doesn't deserve to be stuck here. And I hope that Hoyo has enough in their heart to kind of free her from this, because there's no reason why she should be stuck here. She's too nice of a person to have this as her fate. Especially after just meeting her in, like, what? You know, Act 3 and 4. So, but this moment really hit hard, especially considering their relationship.
You're there, aren't you? I cannot see you, because you exist in the future. I expect we'll be trapped in this prison of space-time for all eternity. But please, gaze upon the past, and then sit for a while. Let's find a place to sit down together, just like we did when we first met.
So that moment right there, this gorgeous moment right here where they show them back to back, and then it flips and it shows them like he's holding her, you know, and they look at ease, and then we get a nice little flashback of them in that same position. But this part is especially emotional because they both have closure in some way, where we meet Rerir again here, and he's not filled with hatred. You know, he said he was. Like, when he first got to the space, he destroyed it. Like, he was so filled with hatred and remorse and all that, that he destroyed it. But being able to sit there with his thoughts, he no longer had the voice in his head, and the voices in his head that he'd been conflicted with for so long. The world for him was finally silent, and he could think. And so he finally got to experience a peace that he hasn't felt before, and he acknowledges that he's done wrong, and he doesn't, he's not expecting forgiveness, but he's man enough to admit that he's made mistakes, and that, he's reflected on his choices, and that, people used him, but then in turn he used people as well. So he became what he despised. And how he says that, we need to be, we need to tell Thelindis this, basically his story. And Columbine is like, oh, can we give her the abridged version? It's like, oh, well, whatever you think she needs to know. It's like, well, how about, when you tried to, relentlessly kill us? He's like, that's up to you, because, a relationship should be built on honesty, but their relationship is built on lies. He doesn't know that she's part of the Crimson Moon dynasty, or a descendant of it, and she doesn't know what Rerir actually does. She just thinks that, like, he's a guard for the Vinster King, when essentially he's going out and assassinating people of the Crimson Moon dynasty, and we see that some of them are as young as 6 years old. So they're both hiding things from each other, and it's in this moment he has this clarity and this moment of peace, that he's like, whatever you think she needs to know. But and it's like catharsis for him, cathartic for him. He's finally this moment of peace, where after all this time of the voices and the hatred and it's also very sad, because they're so close. Like, once we leave Rerir and go see Thelindis, you can see they're not that far apart, and yet they can never actually be together anymore, because they're separated by time, because he's existing in the future, she's existing in the past, and they can never meet. Which is why I hope that, because of this space, and because of Columbina having the power of she is the moon goddess now. She's got the trilunar authority. Her power is pretty much greater than the heavenly principles, but a little less than Nibelung. So she could fix this. And I hope that if she does bring Rerir back into the world, that she frees Thelindis and allows her to be merged with the ley lines. Because for Thelindis, someone as sweet as Thelindis, to be stuck here, and we know she can do it, because she helped her sisters get back to Teyvat. So if she could help her sisters get back to Teyvat, I know full well she can get these two out of here. But it's beautiful and sad, and because, again, they can never meet, because they're separated. They're so close, but they're separated by time, and they can't see each other. So for him, this is his biggest punishment, despite the fact that he's grown as a character and he's not seeking redemption. He still feels like he should be punished, and for him, this is his punishment: never actually being able to see his love ever again. And again, it shows how well they can write the story. Let's go back. I think we close. Yeah, I see Polonia right there. So this is more current. This is Act 8. So if you haven't gone through it, I suggest doing it, but
I could have had a sister, a family. But
You're not fit to be family to...
that I can't deny. So many people, all obsessed with playing out the same tired old dramas. And then there's you. You had every... But I maintain that I approached you in good faith. So, I will offer you another chance. Will you work with me? You have until I count to 10 to make your 1, 2, 3.
Not in a million years.
Sandrone, what a pleasant surprise.
You're Sandrone.
Funnily enough,
Gone to...
I said... Is this your life's work? This piece of trash? Your formula runs too slowly, Sandrone. You put your hope for success on others instead of fighting dirty. That is why you have failed. Now, whom should I slay first? Any volunteers? No one? How nice of you to leave the decision to me. Oh, how unexpected. Sandrone, any last words for me, comrade?
Is there anything you wish for?
Not really. But I've always known what I don't want. Go to hell, Dottore.
And now, you have failed.
Sandrone's death, fucking Lucifer, hard hitting, because this is a character that, like Farina, you despise at first because of how fucking bratty they are, but then you realize that she was created by, you know, Alan, who just was basically recreating his little sister Marianne, and her life was just as tragic as anyone else's, despite being a creation. You know, that she lived her life and then, you know, her creator dies. And, you know, she's a puppet. She's a marionette. She's not human. So her emotions aren't the same as everyone else's, but she clearly has them. We see that with her when Columbina's saying goodbye to her. You know, Columbina's hugging her, and she's about to hug her back, but then Columbina backs away, and as soon as Columbina's out of earshot, she's like, "I'm gonna miss you too, Columbina." So the fact that she sacrificed herself, which it is sad because, you know, but because she is, again, she's not human. Her core and Polonia's core sent to the Fontaine Research Institute. We're going to see her again. We're going to see her again, but it doesn't take away the impact of her death, because this was someone who really didn't trust anyone, and yet she sacrificed herself to save us. We learned that she kind of rewrote her self-preservation route, the route for that, and so we're going to see her again. It'd be stupid for them to just kill her off for good, because she can be rebuilt. But it doesn't take away from the emotional impact, and especially as of right now, like, as the player, we know we're going to see her again. But for the characters in this world, they don't know. As far as they know, Sandrone is gone. When we talk to Arlecchino and Wanderer, she says that, her passings left a great wound in all their hearts. So as far as they know, Sandrone is dead. She's gone. And especially for someone like Arlecchino, she's having tea parties before with Sandrone and Rosaline, who is Signora, and Columbina. But Rosaline is dead. Sandrone's dead. Columbina's off kind of doing her own thing now. So the group, the tea party group, has just gotten even smaller. And it's even sadder for Columbina, because she's the moon goddess. Her life is basically eternal at this point, while Arlecchino's isn't. So once Arlecchino dies, that tea party group is no more. There's no one else. Columbina will be the last one. And because she's the moon goddess, the Trilune goddess, she's everlasting now, pretty much. So this is the moment where she comes back, and I just kind of want to show this moment as well, because it's a great moment. It's so triumphant. The moon, the music and everything. It's just, but this part right here.
Pour it over Nod Cry. My soul, I leave here to inform my future friends. Lastly, I will hide the Trilune Authority within the Frost Moon. And when my body, soul, and authority are reunited, finally. It's been too long. I'm back.
Welcome home, moon goddess. So this triumphant return of Columbina, and she finally opens her eyes, and the first, like, she's had basically her whole life. She takes it off, and the first thing she sees is us. It's like a newborn child, where the first thing they see is their mother. In our case, the first thing Columbina sees is us. one of the people who is probably the most important to her. But just how gorgeous her eyes are, the whole fact of most people thinking the welcome home moon goddess. It's just such a beautiful scene. Especially because, like I said, the first thing she sees when she takes off is us. You know, someone who's been by her this whole time, who's helped her grow as a person, and then we get the aftermath of the battle.
This world is our home.
And, you know, the time for celebration for her is because now she has to come to the realization that Sandrone's gone. And for her to, that's the first thing she does. You know, it's like, okay, Dottore gone, but then she runs immediately over to Sandrone's body. That's her. I mean, she's not fully accepting it yet. You know, we hear from Arlecchino that she spent a long time with Sandrone's body saying her goodbyes. So she wasn't fully over it. And it's still going to take a while for her to get over. But after this battle, she's now allowed to start accepting the loss of her friend. And again, in the universe, they don't know that Sandrone will most likely be back, which is kind of odd because, again, she's not human. She was built in the Fontaine Research Institute, so they should know that they could rebuild her, but they see her as gone. But then we get this, like, this is a free to play game. We do not deserve stuff this fucking beautiful. This whole, the storytelling, the way it's presented, the music, it's so perfect in every fucking way. And it is by far one of the most gorgeous pieces of cinema in the game that we've gotten to this point, and if not in any game at all. Like, this is peak storytelling. And I really hope that we go forward with this as the high note and it just gets higher. Because this...
Moon. The moon is very far away from us, so it could be a long journey.
So this is a space that she built herself to kind of connect to the moon. We have this little part right here, and then we see what looks like the primordial sea, which would kind of make sense. But this, it is, the art is beautiful. The music is just, it's so hopeful and happy, but heart-wrenching at the same time, especially when it gets to a certain part, when the music starts to really swell, we get to a certain image and it just hurts so fucking much. But everything about from this part to the it's just perfection.
After I obtained the Trilunar Authority, I unwittingly saw past events from many of my friends' lives. One was Lauma. She was so young when they chose her to be the Moon Chanter. From then on, the Frost Moon Scions looked to her to bring messages from their goddess. But, for better or worse, I had left Hisi Island before she was ever born. It was not until much, much later that she met me. I think it's...
So as you're watching this, like, you can listen to what they're saying, but also keep for the music, because the music adds to that emotion. Especially, again, once we get to that certain part where that music starts to, you know, swell. I haven't seen one person who hasn't gotten teary-eyed or have some, you know, deep emotion to it, because it is, it's again, this is something you have to experience yourself, because it's watching it on YouTube. It's not the same as actually experiencing it.
For the best. Because of the way things turned out, you had the opportunity to become friends.
You're right. In that sense, I think we were both very lucky. Oh, and about that mage, Nicole. I only recently learned that she has lived in Teyvat since the time of the Three Moon Sisters. The moon goddesses always had a good relationship with the angels. I suppose our friendship continues that tradition. And then there's Sandrone. I never knew that much about her, beyond the fact that she was created by someone called the Lord Artificer. She, too, suffered for a long time before joining the Fatui. How I wish I could talk to her again, even if only to hear her say nasty things to me.
It's that moment of you don't appreciate what you have until you don't have it. Like I said, the music's swelling. At that moment where they show Sandrone, you know, we see her with Polonia, where we see her when she's first created. We see her there after, you know, Alon's death. And you just realize that even though she's an artificial being, she's a puppet, she's a, you know, she's a mech essentially, she still went through all the emotions that a human would. She experienced sadness and loss and pain and suffering and all these other emotions that a human would. And in more so, she could say it's more enhanced because most likely of programming, that all these emotions, she felt them to an even more extreme, which is why she probably became the way she did. But suffering the loss of her creator and you know, that obviously left a huge impact on her. But then Columbina, like, you know, I wish I could talk to her again, even, you know, just even if it was to hear her say nasty things to me, because despite the fact for us, that's like, well, why would you want that? That was just a relationship between that was Sandrone and Columbina. And as weird as it is for us, those were probably some of the most precious moments to Columbina, was just hearing Sandrone ramble on and call her nasty names, knowing that she didn't really mean any of it. It's just how Sandrone was. So she's just, you know, he said, you don't know what you have until you don't have it. You know, Columbina probably thought that, you know, nothing would happen to Sandrone, and now she has to realize that Sandrone is gone. And now she realizes that, hey, I'm not going to be able to hear her say nasty things to me again. That relationship, the tea time, and that's gone. So the fact that some of the most precious memories for Columbina is hearing Sandrone call her mean names, but not actually mean any of it. You know,
Also, I saw your sibling's story. I'm afraid I didn't see much. It seems that he rarely came to the surface where the moonlight shines. But I did notice that back when you first set out on your journey, he would often appear nearby, gazing at you from afar with a guilty look in his eyes.
Ether.
Let us.
And obviously, we all remember this scene. It's not only from the trailer that we got, but it was also from the quest with Dainsleif. How we're fighting the hilly turtles down there, and we get a memory after we touch the dandelion of this image of, you know, our sibling watching us from atop of the cliff, watching us fight the hilly turtles and the abyss mages, and because they didn't come to the surface a lot, and it seems like they can draw the memory from the moon, because they didn't come to the surface a lot, they don't have a lot to go on, because they just stayed below so much. Which is also weird because they traveled with Dainsleif, so they were out in the moonlight more times than not. So the fact that this is like the only thing they saw, you know, that she saw about our sibling, is just kind of weird. But it's kind of like how with rocks, with characters able to draw memory from rocks and ore, she's able to draw memory from the moon, because the moon sees everything. It's always watching, and it gains all that memory and emotion. But she's saying that, oh well, he didn't really come out in the moonlight, so that moonlight wasn't able to kind of absorb and take in those memories, which kind of sucks. But you know, they got to keep the sibling mysterious.
Speak no more of the past. I probably shouldn't reveal so much about my friends. It's not my place. Let the moonlight carry us forth. We are very close now. After this, I'd like to bring some kuhenki to the moon as well. If they're willing, of course.
What about your other friends? Will you bring them to visit too?
Certainly. But I'll need to tidy the place up first. This home hasn't received any guests in a long, long time. I remember writing something similar with you on Moonprayer Night. I believe it was called...
Dodoko's Whirligig.
Yes, that was it. You asked me if I was afraid to return to the moon, and I said that I was. The idea that I had gained something precious, only to lose it so quickly. That frightened me. But I'm not afraid anymore. Besides, this time, we're traveling together.
One of the most gorgeous fucking scenes. This is like perfect live wallpaper right here. The music, it's just perfect. The music, and then the moment as a Genshin player I never thought I'd be seeing in a million years. If someone told me this would happen, I would say to stop believing the leaks. We get onto the moon and we see Teyvat from space.
We're here. Over there. Over there.
Let's try to get a nice little shot. People most of the time they skip it, but it gives us this beautiful shot We're on the fucking moon. We're seeing our ship right in front of us. And behind that, we see Tevat. And we've got Fontaine. We've got Sumeru Desert. We've got Sumeru right there. You know, we've got Liyue Harbor right there. The Chasm. Inazuma. Up there, we've got Mondstadt. We're seeing Tevat from the outside. And then we have the structure of what I'm guessing used to be the Moon Palace, which is where, you know, the sisters resided. And every night they would travel across the sky in a moon chariot. You know, they'd all be kind of doing their own thing. You know, one brings in the day, one brings in the night, and they all had their own duties that they split amongst themselves because none of them wanted the whole authority, so they split it amongst themselves. But they lived in their little lunar palace, and looks like this is kind of what remains of it. Which, when Columbina says she's got some tidying up to do, she's got some tidying up to do. But I'm sure with her and the Kuhenki working together, she could get the Moon Palace back up and, you know, looking nice again. Now, I doubt it's like an actual palace, but it's probably more similar to what we see in the Moon Gate when we meet the sisters. But yeah, and this was probably one of the most emotional, because again, if you told me 5 years ago when I first started the game that we would be standing on the real moon, looking at Tevat from space, I would have told you, yeah, and I have an uncle who works at Nintendo. But here we have this gorgeous shot of us on the moon looking at Tevat from space with our ship right there. And, you know, again, when I talked about emotions, this gives you so many emotions. The sense of, you know, it kind of reignites that sense of wonder. It ignites passion again for the game. It, you know, the sense of fantasy, the sense of, wow, look how far we've come in the game. You know, feeling like everything we've done has culminated in this moment. Everything we've been looking for, it's like we found our ship, which was one of the biggest things for us. Is like, where are our ships? Like, we came here in ships, where are they? And here we are with the ship that we came in. So it's just a culmination of, you know, happiness and even sadness, because you know, it just reminds us about what we don't have right now, about being separated from our sibling. The fact that they're down there somewhere, and we're still not by their side. So it sense of sadness, but it's also of you know, serenity. You're on the moon, and it's quiet and it's peaceful, and you can just watch the planet. You know, you can't see anyone, but you know that there's people down there. You know the people down there, they're your friends. And you know they're going about their lives as you stare at this planet from space. I mean, just that kind of feeling. Astronauts say the same thing. It's like the feeling of looking at the Earth from space. It's such a weird feeling. Like, you look at it and you can't believe it's actually happening. And that's how I felt when I did this. I'm like, I'm looking at it even now. I've gone through the quest, and I still can't believe it happened. You know, to invoke those kinds of emotions that even after you've gone through the quest, you still don't believe it actually happened. Like, I'm still thinking that, like, no, this is like some kind of alternate reality. But no, we went to the moon. We saw Tevat from space. We got to find our ship. And we know it's Tevat because, again, we've got Sumeru, we've got Fontaine, got the Chasm, we got Sumeru, the forest part, Liyue Harbor. You know, Inazuma is right down over here. So the fact that it can invoke that kind of the emotion of like skepticism, despite the fact that you're literally looking at it, You know, I've gone through the quest and I still don't believe that it's real. You know, that's the power of emotion through, you know, through storytelling. And I think Not Cry has done that the best. But every other quest, whether it be a character quest or a side quest or Archon quest, there's been so many moments that invoke emotions, whether it be sadness or happiness or what, you know, like I said with Mizuki's quest, like that cutscene, you know, it's fun and whimsical, and you know, the music when that starts to swell up and it shows that amazing shot of Inazuma City, you know, the emotions that you get from just seeing these nightmares all over looking like stars and knowing that they're nightmares, but then the music gives you that feeling of everything's going to be okay. Or Yoimiya's, or, you know, and these are just a few. Like Nouvelette's quest is fucking heartbreaking. But the fact that this game can make me feel so many emotions, from happiness to sadness to even hatred for certain characters, to, you know, contemplation, to Hoyo knows what it's doing when it comes to writing, and despite their shady business practices sometimes, they truly know how to create a gorgeous story. And I'm looking forward to the next 10 years of this game. But anyway, 2 hours, almost 3 hours. Those were just some of the ones that I thought were the best, you know, and emotional. I mean, you saw me. Some of them I cannot keep it together, even after seeing them so many times. I can't. You know, it's not flat out bawling. I'm not like, but just the fact that I get the tears going. And this is one of those games where it's probably one of the few that get me going like that. Because again, I'm not an emotional person, and people will be like, no, I've never really seen him cry. But this game can get me going like every single time. Even if I've played the quest or seen it numerous times, it still gets that emotion going. So if you get a cold-hearted bastard like me going, it's good writing. It is good writing. But let me know your favorite emotional part, whether it be sad or, you know, what the most impactful of the Genshin variety, most impactful scene that you think of. But I need to get up now because my leg is going numb from sitting here for 3 hours. So anyway, that is going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.